Good morning. It is Tuesday, September 22nd. It is the first day of fall, I believe, right? I want to make an announcement first that is just for my homeroom. If you are in my homeroom, listen up. If you are not in my homeroom, then your homeroom teacher should have already said this to you. We are doing 6 days of digital citizenship. So if you will log into your homeroom on Canvas, you should have 6 discussion boards, one for the next 6 days that have a video, an assignment for you to do. That is going to cover your digital citizenship lessons that you have to do by October 1st. They have to be done by October 1st. The first one looks like this. It is in homeroom. If you are having trouble finding it, you need to go out of ELA and go into homeroom. There is 6 days. So it will be today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of this week, and then Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. We didn't do one during the virtual days because we figured you wouldn't want to work on it from home, and you also don't have that kind of homeroom downtime that we're trying to find something for social and emotional during that time from 9 to 9:30. Okay, so anybody have any questions about that, about digital citizenship? Email me. If you're having trouble accessing it and you need me to show you where it is, you can send something in the chat. You can email me. Everybody in here was able to access it this morning and post. And if you weren't able to do it this morning because you weren't in here, then just remember to do it before the end of the day. All 6 of those days need to be done by October 1st. That is the deadline. That is next Thursday. Okay, so if you're doing one a day and leaving off the Mondays and the weekends, it shouldn't be any problem to have it done by then. Okay? If you have questions, let me know. That's all about digital citizenship. Okay, so that announcement was just for my homeroom, talking about digital citizenship. If you're not in my homeroom, but you're watching this video recording, you should have found out about digital citizenship from your homeroom teacher. If you have not, you can shoot them an email and ask them about that now. Okay, we are now going to start ELA for the day. We have been working on verbs as our bell ringer. So if you will click on that verbs link under bell ringers, that link located right here, it will bring you up to the verbs Google Doc. And then you need to open your ELA journal. And we are copying and pasting an anchor chart. We only did 2 days of verbs last week. You did the anchor charts for what is a verb. And we did the first activity. It looked like this. We did the first 5, so that should be in your journal. Then we're starting today with this anchor chart that's talking about verb tenses. This is a picture, so you can click on it and copy and paste. You can use the Control-C, Control-V that we have talked about prior, or you can do the click on it and right-click. Right-click on a Chromebook, remember, is 2 fingers, but if you're using a mouse, it's going to be a right-click. Okay, that brings up a menu where you can copy and paste. This anchor chart needs to go in your ELA journal. Remember, when you do your ELA journal, it needs to be the newest at the top. So you would put today's date and copy and paste this. This is talking about verb tenses, about when the action happened. So the action could have happened in the past. I had a student telling me this morning about almost stepping on a snake this weekend and having to chop his head off. That story he told me was in the past. So when he said he almost stepped on the snake, that is past tense, okay? We have present tense. That's an action that's happening right now. Miss Russell is teaching. Currently, I am teaching verbs. That is something that's happening in the present. And then we have something that's going to happen in the future. So that is something that will happen. Miss Russell will teach about conjunctions, but that will be in the future. Does that make sense? So the only thing that we have for today is copying and pasting this anchor chart into your ELA journal. Do that now. So once you get this copied in your ELA journal, that's the only bell ringer we have for today. Is just touching base and kind of reminding you about skill that should have been taught in elementary school, which is past, present, and future verbs. Can somebody tell me in the chat if you can read this or if it's backwards? I think it might be showing up backwards. Okay, we're finishing up verbs bell ringer, and we are going to move on to number 2 on our agenda for today. So do not worry about this yet. This is something that we'll do tomorrow or the next day, depending on how time goes. We got a lot we're trying to get into a short amount of time. I did my plans before they made the virtual Mondays, so I'm trying to kind of make my plans fit into 4 days. So we're really strapped for time. So there may be days where I just skip the bell ringer, and I'll just notate that up here in the assignment based on time. We may just say skipping to save time. So just keep an eye out for that. All right, the second thing that we're going to do is introduce a new standard. Your standard that you took a CFA on yesterday was RL 6.2. That was theme and summary. If you have not taken that CFA in All in Learning, then you currently have a 0. You have until Sunday at midnight to take that CFA. It is open. You need to get on All in Learning sometime very soon and take that CFA. It is on theme and summary. We are moving on today to RL 6.3, and it covers 3 main skills that we're going to walk through today. Just kind of an intro. Those 3 skills are sequencing, so the order of the story, this happened first, then this happened, then this happened, then this happened. Characterization, which is the character change and how the character responded to the events of the story and how, based on their interaction with other characters, did they change. And also how the last one is sequencing. We did sequencing characterization. I'm sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. I'm trying to do too many things at one time. And then the last one is plot. So right now, if you're watching this as a recording, pause the video and watch this video. If you are on live on Zoom, you can watch it with us. I'm gonna have my screen on it so you can watch it with us, or you can pause your Zoom and watch it independently. This is an intro to sequencing, characterization, and plot that we're starting today. This is a new standard that we're going to be doing the next 2 weeks. It is RL 6.3. Okay. I'm going to. Okay, guys, that was just an introduction of RL 6.3 that we're going to start talking about together starting tomorrow, that I'm going to be teaching some lessons on. That was just an intro. All right, what we're going to talk about now is Lefty Lewis is a vampire. So I sat down and went through just to check for planning, and there are a lot of you that I do not have planning from. And I was trying to give a classwork grade for your planning, and I was finding that a lot of you have not submitted that. So what I did is I went in and I put a P for planning beside your assignment for last Thursday. Why did I do that? Because that would help remind you where that needs to be submitted. So the first thing is we need to get that. See how I put a P? That would help you remember that that's where you submit that planning. Okay, that blue submit button, it should show up once you click on that link. Okay, that planning should be words and phrases. When I was grading those, a lot of you did not follow directions, and I taught specifically how to do planning compared to writing a rough draft. Writing a rough draft is where you're going to write those complete sentences. This was the planning that I modeled for you. Do you see complete sentences? No, we don't see complete sentences here because planning does not include complete sentences. Okay, so for Lefty Lewis is a vampire, I need plannings turned in. If you've turned yours in, awesome job. If you have not turned yours in, I need you to get it turned in. Then you click on Friday's assignment, the 18th, and that is where you will submit your Lefty Lewis is a Vampire. Now, when I pushed it out to you, it was pushed out as a rough draft. So some of you have got the rough draft done and then you have submitted it, and that's fine. You can still change it. Today is about the third step of the writing process. Can somebody tell me what that is? What are we going to do after we plan and we write a rough draft? Then what are we going to do? It says it on your agenda for today, I'm pretty sure. When you click on Tuesday, it says what? What's that last word? Editing. So we're going to edit today. What does it mean to edit? Well, let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about Ms. Russell's expectations for what you're doing today for editing an essay. Editing an essay. What does that look like? What does that entail? What have you learned in elementary school that is involved in editing? Somebody tell me in the chat or somebody tell me in here. Okay, so punctuation. What does that mean? Yes. Complete sentences with ending punctuation. So periods, exclamation points, question marks. Can you capitalization? Yes, we are on a roll here. So when are you going to have capital letters? We've done bell ringers on that. The first letter at the beginning of a sentence. You with me? Okay, capitalization. Also remember that, so we're going to put the beginning of a sentence. A name, a proper noun. Always I. Okay. What else? What else? What else? Okay, after a period, the beginning of a sentence. What else? Can I make another bullet here? What else besides punctuation, capitalization? Okay, is a long sentence okay? You could have a run-on sentence that you need to separate, okay? So watch for those. I think that can go with punctuation. What else do you need to look for? What shows up under a wonky word, a little squiggly red line? What does that mean?
It means it's not spelled.
It means it's not spelled right. So we need to check for spelling. If you have one of those little squiggly red lines, let me give you an example. How do you spell, if you spelled restaurant. All right, you spelled restaurant like that. Then what's going to happen is it's going to give you a little red squiggly line. And if you're
not supposed to put a U there.
Right, you're correct in my spelling, right? But what you're going to do, you don't even have to know how to spell it. You can right click on it or two fingers click on it and it will give you options of how to spell it right. So I'm going to say two finger click and it will offer up to you a suggestion. Now you have to be able to choose which suggestion is correct, but check those out. Offer up, look at those suggestions that they have made for you. Okay. So you're going to, if you have those red squiggly lines, you're going to do a two finger click. All right. What else do we need to be looking for in our editing? How many paragraphs did I say this essay needed to be?
5.
Okay. So we need to check for 5 paragraphs or more. I'm going to put or more because you can have more than 5. And how many sentences need to be in a paragraph? I said it. Y'all didn't watch class last week. I said it and said it and said it. You didn't watch class last week, did you? Did you watch my videos last week? How many sentences have to be in a 6th grade paragraph? 5. You have to have 5 sentences or more. Or more. If you can't, that's when I was looking at people's planning and they only had 1 or 2 words in one of these boxes. That's why I said, you need to go back. Can you write 5 sentences about that? And they would say, no. And so I would say, you need to go back and look at your planning and come up with more things to happen in that paragraph, in that event box. Okay. Anything else that you can think of that we need to check for when we're editing today? So you are going to reread and check for all these things. Now, if I pull up your final draft of your Lefty Lewis is a Vampire and it's all one big paragraph, then I know that you did not use my essay editing. Okay? Okay? So everybody today is going to bring up their Lefty Lewis is a Vampire essay, which is a narrative essay, which is telling a story. Remember, I read you an example last Thursday in class. So I'm getting lots of emails that are saying things like, I don't understand what we're supposed to be writing about. And when you ask a question like that, it shows me that you aren't watching class. Because if you watched class, you would have heard me explain it. You would have as well heard me read an example of Lefty Lewis is a Vampire story. Okay? Remember, you're not retelling me her story. You're not retelling me something that's in a book. You're being creative. You're coming up with your own story, your own what could happen, as if this man that Bud encountered on the side of the road really is a vampire. So he can have anything happen. The sky's the limit. They can get in a car wreck. They can go to Disney World. They can go to a restaurant. He can, anything, as long as he really is a vampire. That is the goal here, is being creative and writing a story. Okay? So our goal today, it is 10:04 and you leave me at 10:45. So you have 40 minutes to edit these essays, to make them perfect, and to submit them on your assignment from last Friday is where you submit the final copy. And then Thursday is where you submit the planning. Okay? Thursday is where you submit the planning. If you've not already done so, you need to do that. And then once your essay is completely finished, you're going to submit it on the assignment from last Friday. The assignment from last Friday is once it's perfect, that's where you will submit it. Where are you going to submit it? The assignment from last Friday. Thursday's planning, Friday's the final copy. But once you submit it, it needs to be perfect. If you have already submitted it, you can still submit again once you've made more changes. So if you submitted it as the rough draft and you're making changes today, that's fine. It can still be resubmitted. Does that make sense? Does everybody understand? Does anybody have any questions? I'm watching the chat. I'm watching you guys. If you have questions, email me once the Zoom ends or once your video recording is over. The word of the day is editing. The word of the day is editing. Don't forget to do the exit ticket.
Ms. Collins, please call the final.
And your final copy is due for after your editing. If you need help editing, email me. If you would like for me to hop on a personal Zoom for you, I can try to set something up. Okay? Bye.